Hello, and welcome back to Diecast Graveyard. My name is Paul. Thanks for joining me today. What we have here is a Hot Wheels Roger Dodger. Now this car was produced originally in 1974, and it's a spin-off of an original version called the Bifocal. Now this has been released many times with a bunch of modifications to it, but it's still produced today, and you can find it in some different racing kits from Hot Wheels. This one is in pretty rough shape. It is done in purple enamel, and we're going to really do a resto mod in this car, as we're going to repaint it in Spectra Flame Purple. Grab your favorite adult beverage and join in with today's build.
It's time to start the autopsy.
I've already drilled the car apart, so let's take it apart and just do our evaluation here and see what we're looking at. I've also drilled out the engine. I'm not a big fan of the oversized engine in this car, but you know what? It's a classic Hot Wheel and it is what it is. This is in pretty rough shape, so we're definitely going to have to strip all the paint off and replace all the decals. It is a pretty cool looking car though, kind of looks like a Dodge Charger. Here's the engine, and again, it's a big oversized engine. Here's the base. I definitely want to replace those front wheels, and the rear wheels are supposed to be capped wheels, but we'll go ahead and replace those too and make it look really good. It's pretty dirty, so we'll have to scrub it down with soap and water, and we're going to have to polish up that windshield. Get all that mud caked in there. We'll get that all cleaned up. Let's move on. Let's go ahead and get the body and the embalming fluid. Since we're going to change the paint, technically, we're going to go ahead and coat it on the inside and the outside, just to make sure that everything is taken off when it sets in the paint stripper. We'll let that set for a while. Just make sure you get the inside and the outside in there where the engine sits, etc. And we'll let it set for a while, keeping an eye on it so we know approximately when it's done. Let's move on. The base is kind of tarnished up here, so let's go ahead and put that in the mixture of lime away and water. We'll also put the engine in there too. Let it sit in there for approximately 2 to 3 minutes, but keep an eye on it, because if you leave it in too long, it'll turn the metal black, and you definitely don't want to do that. Let's go ahead and speed things up and sit back and enjoy your adult beverage. Now, of course, if you don't drink adult beverage, have your tea or coffee or your water or whatever, but sit back and enjoy. It's foaming up a little bit, but not too much, right? Notice the block on the bottom of the base, where just underneath Hot Wheels, there normally would be a name of the car where it would say Roger Dodger, etc. But these bases were used from the original Bifocal, and sometimes you can see the lettering in there. And if you do happen to have one of those, it's kind of a rare find, so you might want to hold on to that one if you happen to come across it. This is just about ready. Let's go ahead and pull it out and scrub it down with a brass brush. There we go. That works wonders to get that tarnish off there. Now make sure you have a brass brush. You really don't want to use a steel brush here, because the steel brush is a lot more aggressive and it's liable to put a lot of scratches in your metal. So be a little careful when you do this. Also, if you have a brass brush and you get it in the cheap aisle, go ahead and check it out with a magnet too, because if it is brass, the magnet won't stick to it. If it's just brass coated over steel, then the magnet will stick to it, and you know that you got a steel brush that's brass coated. Let's go ahead and scrub the engine down real quick, and then we'll get these to the sink to rinse them off with water. Let's go ahead and move on. After we cleaned up the base and polished it up, I went ahead and replaced these old wheels. Now the wheels I put on this car are all cap style wheels, and I got those from a donor car. Now these wheels here I got from Second Chance Redlines. Check out what Second Chance Redlines has to offer for your restorations of your Hot Wheels Redline cars. Now, if you happen to use the code DGY10 when you make a purchase at Second Chance Redlines, you'll get 10% off any order. And you can find this information in the description of this video. That's looking great. Here's the windshield. Let's go ahead and sand it down and get the scratches out. Using superfine sandpaper here. This is approximately 1500 grit. Very, very fine. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and click on that little bell to be alerted to any future videos that come out. Get as much of the scratches out as you can, and then we're going to go ahead and dip it in a coated solution to help bring the windshield back to a nice shine. That's looking good. Let's go ahead and move on. Here we're going to use Gauzy. Now this is a coating that is made for the modeler's industry. Now when you mix it up slow like you see me doing here. You don't want to shake it with your hands, because if you do, you're going to put a lot of bubbles in there. And sometimes those bubbles can transfer over to the plastic glass that you're trying to coat and make it look good. You can also use Pledge Revive or Future Floor Finish, and those work pretty good too. Now the ones with the Pledge Revive, you get a lot more product for your money, and I use both of them regular. Once you let the excess drain off, go ahead and touch the corners to a paper towel and wick away the excess fluid so it'll rest nice and it'll give it a nice even coat when it dries. Just touch the corner to a paper towel and set it inside some type of container, so when you do put a cover on it, the dust won't get to it. Let that sit for at least a few hours. Alright, here we got the body. There's a lot of pits in here, and there's some scratches too, so we're going to go ahead, do some wire brush on there, then we're going to use some sandpaper, some Scotch-Brite pads, and then some steel wool, and when we're done, we're going to polish it up with the flitz. Get it nice and smooth. And then, like I said, we'll polish it up with the flitz. Now, when you go to the Flitz website and you go to check out, use the code word Graveyard for 20% off of any Flitz product that you buy. And this is a really good bargain. You don't have to type in any special website. Just go to flitz.com, type in Graveyard when you check out, and you'll get 20% off the total cost of anything you buy on that website. And I recommend the Flitz highly. It's great stuff. We got some more sanding to do here, so we'll get at that and we'll get it polished up. Here's the base. That looks fantastic. Here's the engine. That's all polished up. That turned out great. Look how nice that looks with that flitz. Here's the body. Now there's still a few minor scratches in there, but it's definitely acceptable for what we need to do here. Let's go ahead and move on.
Meanwhile, back in the graveyard.
We got the car in the paint booth. We're going to coat it with Spectra Flame Purple. Now I got the Spectra Flame paint at the Redline shop. Check out what John has to offer at www.redlineshop.com for the beautiful Spectra Flame paints. He also has wheels, he has decals, etc. for your restoration needs of your Redline cars. Now these paints can also be used on mainline cars to give it that little extra kick. So check it out today at the Redline shop. Put on a few mist coats, let it set for a bit, and then come back in and give it some more coats. This is after a few more coats. Now look at that. Look how beautiful that turned out. Let that harden for about 24 hours, and then we're going to come back in now and we're going to put the decals on the car. Now these decals I got at Second Chance Redlines. There are several options for your diecast hobby. Second Chance Redlines, the Redline shop, Bright Vision. I mean, there's all kinds of places where you can get things. Plus there's a bunch of distributors on eBay where you can get things also. I tell you where I get the stuff that I use because I've had success with it and it works. That way there, it'll save you the trouble of going to someone and saying, okay, well, I got this stuff from this guy and it didn't work. I test my stuff out thoroughly before I recommend it to you guys to make sure that when you do your restoration hobby or your customs, that they're going to look as good as the ones that I put out in my videos. Once you get it down on the car, go ahead and use a Q-tip or something to squeegee out the excess water, and that will make the decals look good, and then let it set and dry at least overnight at a minimum. Like I said, take a Q-tip, squeegee out the excess water, and these will look absolutely fantastic. Just make sure they're in the right position when you go to squeegee them out. That's looking really good. Let's go ahead and move on. I've let the decals sit overnight. Now we're going to take some microset and we're going to put it on the decal to get it to fit into some of these complex areas like going into the hood, etc. It just kind of hangs over right now, but we'll use this microset and it will soften up the decal and allow it to go over the folds of the hooded area of the car there so it fits nice. Just go very easy and use it sparingly because it will make the decals kind of soft and gummy, and if you rub it too much you'll rub the decal away and you'll ruin your decal job and you'll have to do it all over again. Here I'm applying it with a brush, but you can use a Q-tip or another type of swab or a modeler swab or whatever. And then take a Q-tip and push that in so it will conform to the shape of the hood. We let it dry overnight, and now we're going to clear coat the car with a clear coat system. This is a 2K clear. Now in the near future I'll be releasing my own clear coat system, and I've tested it over and over again and it works fantastic, and it will be coming out in the near future, so keep an eye open for that. Again, the same thing, put on some light mist coats, let it set for about 10 to 15 minutes, and then come back in and do it some more. And by the time you get a nice clear coat on here, a nice good protective coat over your decals, this car is going to look absolutely beautiful. Now here we have all the pieces. We've got the body of the car, and the decals fit absolutely perfect. And again, they came from Second Chance Redlines. Here's the base, and we got those wheels from the Redline shop. That looks fantastic. Here's the engine all polished up with the flits. That's beautiful. And here's the windshield. We did this with Gauzy, but again, you can do it with Pledge Revive. That turned out fantastic. Let's go ahead and put it all together, and we'll have our reveal. And here's what we started with. A Roger Dodger that was released in 1974. Now again, this is based off the original version, the bifocal. We took the car apart, we evaluated what we had, we cleaned up the interior, we sanded down the body, we polished it up with the flits, we painted it up with Spectra flame paint, we replaced the wheels, we put brand new decals on the car, we clear coated everything up, and we got it ready, and it turned out absolutely incredible. I really do believe. I had a lot of fun with this car, and I know that you can do this too. Just follow the videos that we have and learn from what we do, and if we make mistakes, we'll tell you that we did so you don't make those same mistakes. And here's the result. Look at this beautiful Roger Dodger. I think it looks so much better in the Spectra Flame Purple versus the purple enamel. Again, we cleaned everything up, we polished it up, we repainted it, we replaced the wheels, and man, I'll tell you what, this is one proud member of my collection, and if you have one, you can make it look like this too. Now, a lot of folks talk about filler cars. You can make your filler cars look like this while you're waiting to find yourself something nicer. I would rather have this in my collection than that beat up old original Roger Dodger that I had in the first place. I also have some merchandise for sale. Check out the link in the description and check out for t-shirts and beer mugs and all kinds of things in the description. Some really cool stuff there, but please check it out. We got a bunch of other things coming up. We've got some contests coming up, some build-offs, etc. We've got some results from other build-offs that we've had, but there's a lot of things coming up. I want to thank you for joining me today in Diecast Graveyard. I had a great time today. My name is Paul. We got a bunch more stuff coming out. Thank you, and cheers.